Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Koen Berges, Chief Financial Officer of Materialise, to discuss how the manufacturing industry is reaching a tipping point for industrial 3D printing. Koen, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thanks, Jill. Nice to be here.
You got it. And in these challenging times, companies are increasingly introducing distributed manufacturing in their operations. Can you explain why 3D printing makes a difference?
Well, Jill, we are seeing a mind shift in manufacturing. Let me try to explain that. Historically, manufacturing has always centered around one central location, usually in a low-cost environment. And that's an idea that worked well for quite some time until recently. And we have seen COVID come by, which was disrupting global supply chains. We have also seen a rising geopolitical tensions and increased concerns also for environmental and sustainability concerns. Well, all of these factors have led manufacturing companies to rethink their centralized production model. And it's there that smart digital technologies such as 3D printing can play a crucial role in helping these companies transition to a model with smaller scale, local production facilities that sit close to the customer. And it's in these distributed manufacturing models that where companies move away from mega factories that 3D printing has a crucial role to play.
How do manufacturing companies implement this today?
Well, when supply chains got disrupted, companies initially turned to 3D printing more as a sort of backup solution, as a sort of alternative temporary solution. But they quickly got acquainted to the big advantages that 3D printing can bring. And now we see more and more companies adopting the technology more from a strategic point of view. Now, of course, 3D printing is not going to replace every single step in a manufacturing supply chain, but there is very often still applications where 3D printing can bring added value, either to increased efficiency or to increased sustainability.
What is the status and use of 3D printing today?
Well, let me answer that question by referring to two trends that we see in the market. Now, first of all, what we see is that 3D printing is increasingly being used for the production of end parts. And that is today, end part productions and prototyping each represent about half of the total volume of 3D printed parts. And that's very important, and that's a tipping point for our industry, as initially, of course, prototyping was the key usage for 3D printing, and that is now completely changing. A second trend that we see is that, in our view, there is an irreversible trend where manufacturing companies are fully integrating 3D printing in their production of goods. And that's a difference because initially in the past, 3D printing was more in a silo, was isolated from more conventional manufacturing. And that is that wall between conventional manufacturing and 3D printing is now gradually disappearing.
And the technology sounds promising, but we don't see the takeoff or the technology taking off exponentially in manufacturing companies. What do you think some of the challenges are?
Well, 3D printing has been overhyped in the past, and that is simply unfortunate. We have often referred to 3D printing as being a slow revolution. 3D printing is still revolutionary in the impact it has on manufacturing, but also on society as a whole. On the other side, the implementation, the adoption is going to go at a slow, steady pace. And as we see 3D printing picking up, there is, like you said, indeed hurdles to overcome. And I want to refer to three of them. First of all, we see companies still struggling with the onboarding, with the scaling of 3D printing. They simply struggle still to get it right. It's not longer so much a question of why do we do it, but how do we do it? Second point is cost, which is still often perceived to be a barrier to implementing it. But thirdly, and I think that's the most important part that companies struggle with, is when they consider adopting 3D printing, they have difficulties in finding resources that have the right skills to implement and to seamlessly integrate 3D printing within their operations. Our industry is well aware of these challenges, is also taking steps to mitigate them through better training, through new business models, but also through launching new hard and software products that are easier to use. But that will, of course, take time.
So what does the 3D printing industry look like today?
Well, if you look back over the last decade, we saw quite some startups appearing, most of them with huge promises on revolutionary technologies, techniques. But if you look back today, we have to find that many of these startups have disappeared. They either got absorbed or they simply failed to deliver on the promises that they made. Now, on the other hand, you have a company like Materialise, which has a proven track record, which has been around for more than 30 years and has experience in 3D printing. And a company that also manages to generate profitable growth from being in that industry. And that's, of course, linked to all the experience that we could build up over the past decades, but also because of the wide variety of products and services that we can offer to the market and within this industry, going from software over certified manufacturing to specific applications for the medical industry, for instance.
Let's talk about the Materialise management team for a moment. Isn't the company's success linked very much with your CEO, Fried? In fact, the company just announced a leadership change. How will the company evolve with Brigitte?
Well, indeed, Fried van Kraan founded Materialise in 1990 and has been our CEO for 33 years. Fried made a huge mark, not just on Materialise, but also as one of the founders of the 3D printing industry. And indeed, at the end of the year, he's passing on the lead of our company to Brigitte de Vet, who is currently our VP Medical, and she's already been around for 7 years in the company. Now, when Fried and his wife Hilde founded Materialise early 90s, they did so based on a very strong mission statement, making the world a better place, and also as a company that is built to last. Now, Fried and Hilde have always been very strict in making sure that we adhere to that mission statement. And as Brigitte has been around now already for some time, I'm sure and I'm convinced that she will continue delivering on this mission statement that was posted by the founders. Now, of course, the leadership change comes at a time when there is new challenges to the industry, but also new opportunities. And personally, I'm convinced that Materialise is very well placed to capitalize on these investments. Now, having worked with Brigitte for some time now, I'm also convinced that she's the right woman at the right place to lead Materialise, but also to further shape the further growth of our very dynamic and innovative industry going forward.
All right. We appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you.